Everyone loves to complain about zucchini. They joke about giving away bags of it on the porch, sneaking it onto a neighbor's doorstep, running from the stuff. But here's what nobody tells you. Most gardeners aren't actually drowning in zucchini. They're getting 3 or 4 scraggly squash off of a plant that should be giving them 30. The plants that produce those legendary harvests aren't lucky. They're set up right from day one. Stick with me until the end, because the last tip is the one most gardeners never even think about, and it's the difference between a couple of zucchini and a wheelbarrow full. Let's get into exactly how to make that happen. Feed the soil like you mean it. Start with the ground you're planting in, because zucchini plants are heavy feeders. They pull nutrients out of the soil fast, and if that soil isn't loaded up before you plant, the plant hits a wall around week 3 or 4. You'll see it slow down, the leaves get pale, and the fruit stops sizing up. Work compost into your bed before you ever drop a seed, not a sprinkle on top. Mix it in deep, at least a foot down if you can manage it, because zucchini roots dig for what they need. Add a balanced organic fertilizer at planting time too, something with a decent dose of phosphorus, because that's what drives flower and fruit development. Skip this step, and you're basically asking a plant to sprint on an empty stomach. That first feeding isn't the end of it either. Zucchini plants are heavy feeders the whole season, not just at planting time. Side dress with more compost or a balanced fertilizer about 3 to 4 weeks in, once the plant starts putting out real growth. Work it into the soil around the base and water it in well. Skip this second feeding, and you'll watch a plant that started strong suddenly stall outright when it should be hitting its peak production. But even with perfect soil, plenty of gardeners still get stunted plants, and that comes down to something almost nobody adjusts for. Give it room and the right amount of sun. That something is spacing and sun. Zucchini plants sprawl out wide, and when you crowd them, they compete for light and airflow, which weakens every single plant in the bed. Give each plant a solid 3 feet in every direction. That might look ridiculous when you're planting a tiny seedling, but that plant is going to fill in fast, and it needs the room. Sun matters just as much. These plants want 6 to 8 hours of direct light a day, no question. If you're gardening somewhere with intense summer heat, especially in the hotter growing zones, full sun all day can actually stress the plant out and scorch the leaves once the UV really cranks up. A little afternoon shade in the hottest stretch of summer can keep the plant productive instead of just surviving. Get the spacing and the light right, and you've built a plant that's ready to work. Now you've got to keep it fed with water the right way, and this is where a lot of harvests quietly fall apart. Water consistently, not just often. Zucchini plants want consistent moisture, not a flood one week and a drought the next. Inconsistent watering is one of the fastest ways to end up with bitter fruit or blossom end rot, that ugly dark spot on the bottom of the squash. Aim for about 1 to 1.5 inches of water a week, and try to get that water at the base of the plant instead of soaking the leaves. Wet leaves sitting in the heat invite powdery mildew, and once that shows up, it spreads through your whole squash patch fast. Water early in the day so any splash on the foliage has time to dry out before evening. Get this rhythm down, and your plant stays strong through the heat of summer instead of stalling outright when it should be producing the most. Before we go on, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss a video. Take pollination into your own hands. Now here's something that trips up almost every home gardener, and it has nothing to do with soil or water. It's pollination. Zucchini plants grow separate male and female flowers on the same plant, and if those flowers aren't getting pollinated, you'll watch tiny squash form and then shrivel up and drop off before they ever get big. This happens constantly in gardens with low bee activity, especially in a season with rain or wind keeping pollinators away. You can hand-pollinate it yourself. Pick a male flower, the ones with a thin, straight stem, and gently brush the pollen from its center onto the female flower. That's the one with a little baby squash already forming behind the bloom. Do this in the morning when the flowers are wide open. It takes 30 seconds, and it can be the reason your plant goes from a couple of squash to a non-stop harvest. Watch for the pests that take plants down fast. Pollination problems aren't the only thing that can wreck a promising plant overnight. Squash vine borers and squash bugs are the two pests that take down more zucchini plants than anything else. The borer works from the inside, so the first sign is usually a plant that looks healthy in the morning and wilted by afternoon, with a small hole near the base of the stem and a sawdust-like residue around it. Check the base of your plants every few days for that residue. Squash bugs cluster in groups on the underside of leaves, and their eggs look like tiny bronze dots lined up in neat rows. Crush any eggs you find before they hatch, and pick adult bugs off by hand in the early morning when they're slow moving. Staying ahead of these two pests is what separates a plant that produces all season from one that collapses in July. Manage the leaves as the plant takes off. Once your plant is fruiting well, the next move is managing the leaves, and this is where those massive harvests really start to show themselves. A zucchini plant grows huge leaves that shade out the lower part of the plant, blocking airflow and hiding fruit until it turns into a baseball bat overnight. Remove the oldest, largest leaves at the base of the plant once they start yellowing or once they're clearly blocking light from reaching new growth. This opens the plant up, improves air circulation, and makes it so much easier to spot the fruit while it's still small and tender. Check your plants every single day during peak season. Zucchini can go from perfect to oversized in about 48 hours, and picking fruit young actually signals the plant to keep producing instead of putting all its energy into one giant squash. The tip everyone skips. And here's that tip everyone skips. Keep harvesting. The single biggest driver of a massive zucchini harvest isn't some secret fertilizer or a rare variety. It's picking constantly. Every squash you leave on the vine too long tells the plant it's done its job, and it slows down production to focus on that one fruit seeds. Every squash you pick young tells the plant to keep pushing out more flowers and more fruit. One more thing worth doing is keeping an eye on the leaves themselves as the season goes on. Powdery mildew shows up as a white, dusty coating on the foliage, and it spreads fast once the humidity climbs. Trim off any affected leaves as soon as you spot it, and improve airflow around the plant if you can. A plant fighting off disease is putting its energy into survival instead of fruit, and that shows up in your harvest numbers fast. Gardeners who check their plants daily and harvest small, consistently, are the ones hauling in armfuls of squash all season long, while everyone else is wondering why their one plant barely produced anything. Get the soil right, give the plant room and light, keep the water steady, help out with pollination, watch for pests and disease, and pick early and often. Do those things and you won't be searching for zucchini recipes out of desperation. You'll be handing out squash because you genuinely have too much. That's all for now. Subscribe to see more.